Kind of interesting, the contrast in tree work. Here I am today working on this, doing this shaping, Dr. Seuss pruning, I call it. And then tomorrow, the very next day, we'll be cutting down this big old hog over there on the bank. The biggest one there. Big old leaning pine tree. Yeah, that's a big tree, big job. Kind of cool. I look forward to cutting that tree down, but I also am kind of glad I'm not doing it right now. It's not yesterday anymore, it's today. Time to go slay the dragon. Kind of been having a bad back lately. Doesn't make the morale very high on a day like today. Years ago I heard this saying where they said something like, how do you sculpture an elephant out of a rock? And the answer was, you just chip everything off that doesn't look like an elephant. That's basically how I do these big jobs that seem kind of overwhelming. You look at it and you're like, that's gonna be a lot of work. And sometimes, you're not like totally sure how you're gonna do it, but you just know that once you get started, you'll figure it out. So I use that saying, only they say, well, how are you gonna do it? And I say, well, I'm just gonna cut off everything that doesn't look like a stump. So that's what we'll do today. Although I kind of know how I'm going to do it. One piece at a time. This is the Rope-Tech Raptor. It's nice to get so far up the tree past all the large diameter stuff and still be fresh, like you haven't even broke a sweat yet. Having cool gear really makes a difference in a job like this, especially when you start getting a little older. A few years back, most of my stuff was stolen. I lost almost everything I had, all my climbing gear, rope, rigging, saws, and my ability to provide for myself, for my family, was literally taken away with all my tools. What a crazy time that was. Winter had just started, weather was terrible, I needed to do everything I could for money, and suddenly all the things I took for granted, my tools, weren't there to help me finish the jobs I would get. The stuff I could piece together by making stuff in my garage or using things that I had cast aside because they were things you would cast aside. So unnecessary. I mean, even my safety was threatened by not having what I needed, and the drive for money put me in a really unsafe place because I was going to do whatever it took to provide for my family, and I've always been a little more brave than smart. I was definitely losing sleep at night thinking of all the ways I could get even if I could just figure out who did it. It took a while, but I eventually came to the conclusion that I was better off than they were, even if I never found out who did it and I never got my stuff back, because I would rather be stolen from than be a thief. I had to come up with some kind of plan to let go of all the negative energy that I was being burdened with by plotting revenge and murder. So I talked to the local paper and I got them to help me tell my story, publish the story, and I actually publicly forgave the thieves. I figured it might be like a real good opportunity for someone if they had like guilt or something, or maybe they wish they hadn't done it, and if they realized they had a chance for a do-over without consequence for the action, then it could be like a turning point. Don't get me wrong, I didn't do this with some kind of perfect peace-filled enlightenment or something. I was doing it to try to save my own skin from the darkness of being consumed by full-on hatred. Plus I had this insane, naive hope that somebody might actually feel bad enough to give me even some of my stuff back, which would make it a lot easier to make a living. Yeah, nobody did though. But I'll tell you, even something more amazing happened. tons of like decent citizens just came out of the woodwork and started offering me stuff. Chainsaws, gear, money. I denied some of it, but then I started taking some of it because I needed it. This one guy, he was a local well driller, and he had 2 Husqvarna chainsaws. He said, come on over and I'll give you whichever one you want. It was a 359, not a big saw for me, but I used that thing for months, and I cut down some huge trees with that smaller saw with a shorter bar. This one old guy called, and he only had a couple little trees, and he's all, I'm gonna give you $2,000 to cut these little trees. I tell you what, it's awesome that there's a potential for good in people and not just the other side. I definitely got more than I thought I was gonna get. I wanted freedom from resentment, and I got provided for and inspired by my fellow man. I'm probably better off than I was before I got ripped off. I'm not suggesting I want to be ripped off again. I hope those guys are okay. I hope they've gone through some kind of reform or something. Due to a lot of circumstances I could never have anticipated, I've been restored back more than I ever had. I even got one of the saws back, my best one, eventually several years later. But a friend of mine bought it at the garage sale of a tattoo parlor. Evidently someone had traded it for a tattoo. We're talking a modified 046 super hot saw, and it was a saw that had been given to me by the widow of one of my logging friends back in the day who died. Life is quite a ride.
I can see how you feel a little bit different than the other ones. I can feel how you see a little bit different from the rest of the world. And I know you will never talk to me, but you need to know that you'll always have the biggest place in my heart. And when you're young, I know that time is slow, but learn to be patient, because someday this difference will pay, and your time will come. And I can see how you feel a little bit different than the other ones. And I can feel how you see a little bit different from the rest of the world. And when you're young, I know that time is slow, but learn to be patient, because someday this difference will pay, and your time will come.
That's a heavy log right there.
Time is slow, but learn to be patient, because someday this difference will pay, and your time will come, and your time will come. can see how you feel a little bit different than the other ones. And I can feel how you see a little bit different from the rest of the world. And when you're young, I know that time is slow, but learn to be patient, because someday this difference will pay, and your time will come, and your time will come.
Feels like a bomb.
Yeah, like the bomb in Star Wars. And all the leaves and dust. And then was like the shock wave.
Uh-huh.
The dust got in my eye.
I live for that. The shockwave part, not the dust in my eyes.
This is really cool.